Hi, everyone. Welcome. We're so excited that you're here with us today. We are just going to give everyone one more minute to sign on, so just hold tight. Okay, we will get started. So, welcome everyone to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society of Canada's new volunteer-led webcast series, Cancer Doesn't Stop and Neither Do We. Today, we're going to talk about the secret power of fundraising. My name is Ashley Warner, and it's a pleasure to be your host today. This presentation will last approximately 45 minutes and will be followed by a 15-minute question and answer period. To submit a question, simply use the question function. This presentation is also being recorded and will be sent to you 24 hours after the meeting concludes. This new webcast series has been designed by you, for you, and it features you. Light the Night fundraisers and community heroes who don't stop when things get hard or they find barriers in their way. They persevere, showing their resiliency and commitment for people who've been affected by blood cancers. Because as we know, cancer patients don't just get to quit when things get hard. They endure pain and hardship, and they keep going. Cancer doesn't stop, and neither do they, neither do we, and neither do you. We want to thank you so much for being the shining light in so many lives. You could have chosen to sit back and do nothing, but here you are, wondering how to get more involved and keep supporting the blood cancer community. That's pretty extraordinary. When things go back to normal, we will remember you and all those others who stepped up to help their communities thrive. There is no us without you. At the LLSC, our mission is to cure blood cancers and improve the quality of life for patients and their families. And COVID-19 isn't slowing down the work we do. If anything, it has given us a tiny taste of what cancer patients go through during isolation. It has inspired us to think smarter, act quicker, and work harder than we ever have before. We need you to know that none of this is ever possible without you. You are the engine that supports all of this great work. You are the engine that makes the impossible possible. So on behalf of the entire blood cancer community, we thank you. Today, in the first part of our webcast, we are going to hear from Madeline Myers, mother of Cole Myers, who was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma at the age of 16. We will also hear from Cole, who is now 19 years old and not letting anything slow him down. Later on, we will hear from our third speaker, Tammy, who was diagnosed with chronic lymphocytic leukemia in 2014. Tammy will discuss how she's been able to mobilize an entire community for the greater good. So welcome our speakers. Please sit back and relax and be inspired by these three speakers and their stories that show that there's extraordinary power in sharing our stories, engaging and empowering our community, and collectively giving for the greater good. Hopefully there are things that you will be able to apply to your own community and local fundraisers. Like I said, COVID can do a lot of things, but it can't stop us from adapting to the new normal. We have the power to lead and pivot, and that is exactly why we're here today. So before I throw it over to our amazing speakers, I wanted to start with a quick poll. So you will see the poll present on your screen in just a moment. What is your fundraising strategy? So some of you have probably fundraised in the past or are currently fundraising. So what has been your strategy? Do you ask for donations, using social media or email? Do you host fundraising events, either, one event or multiple events, bowling nights, bake sales? or do you do a combination of both? So I'll give everyone about 30 seconds to fill out our poll. Great, I think we can stop the poll and let's see the results. All right, so it looks like the majority of us ask for donations and some of us do a combination of both, which is great. It really, success lies in variety. So, doing a combination of both really, works well. Okay, so it is my pleasure to introduce our first speaker today. As I said, Madeline Myers is a busy mother of 4, and she started her career as a chartered accountant, but for the past 20 years has focused on raising her children while working alongside her husband at their family seafood business, West Fish Canada. Madeline has also been active in the volunteer community, serving on a variety of community and non-for-profit boards. 4 years ago, Madeline's family faced a life-changing challenge when her son Cole was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma at the age of 16. I'm beyond grateful to introduce to you Madeline Myers.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Ashley, for the introduction and for the opportunity to speak here this afternoon. I am the mom of Cole, who will be speaking to you after me. Interestingly, as Cole and I chatted briefly about what we were going to talk about today, I was really struck by how different the mom journey is compared to the son journey. It almost feels like 2 separate stories. So I'm going to share with you the journey of the mom. To be perfectly honest, public speaking is a bit outside my comfort zone. So when LLSC invited me to participate in today's webcast, I had to give it some serious consideration. When I reflected on what our family has gone through over the past 3 years and the significant impact the LLSC and the blood cancer community in general have had on our journey, I knew I needed to speak here today. I thought about who my audience would be and realized that you are all part of the very community that gave me strength when I needed it. We are a community that has been impacted by blood cancer. We have walked side by side at Light the Night across the country, and we intimately know the importance of the LLSC. It's crazy to me that 4 years ago, I had never heard of Light the Night. As a community, we have cried and we have triumphed. We all have a story, and although at different stages in our journey, we share a special bond. So this afternoon, I'm going to take a few minutes to share with you my journey, how cancer impacted my family, the challenges we faced, what gave us hope, and how our relationship with the LLSC gave us strength. My husband, Chris, and I have 4 children. We have 3 boys and 1 girl, ranging in age from 17 to 22. Our family is very close and have always spent a lot of time together. Our kids were heavily involved in sports growing up, including downhill skiing, competitive swimming, rowing, triathlon. 3 years ago, I was in the not so envied role of being mom of 4 teenagers. We were very busy and already full of normal teenager challenges, times 4. A new challenge hit us in June 2017. After graduating from grade 10 while trying out for a spot on the Canada Games team for triathlon, our son Cole, who was 16 at the time, was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. Cole was diagnosed at stage 2 with bulk. The bulk being a tumor the size of a Tim Hortons medium coffee cup in the center of his chest. That was 3 years ago this summer. Cole had had a chest x-ray and some blood work because he was having shortness of breath when training and had a few swollen lymph nodes. We assumed that he had mono. I still have to catch my breath when I remember getting the call from our family doctor who gave us the news. Cole's diagnosis totally threw our family off course. Cancer was something that happened to others. The first few weeks were overwhelming. PET scans, CT scans, blood work, EKGs, pulmonary function tests, surgery for portacast. Many of you know the routine. Information overload and calls from concerned friends and family who I barely had the strength to talk to. Someone asked me, what was the hardest part as a mom? I'm honestly not really sure. There were so many hard parts for me. Watching your child go through treatment and having no control, seeing Cole when he knew he would lose his hair, Watching him miss out on being with his friends and in sports, giving him daily injections when his white counts hit 0, watching him put his arm around his younger brother, Callum, to comfort him, holding my tears until I was alone, stem cell transplant and 3 months of isolation, waiting for test results. I know we all have a long list of our hardest moments in the journey with cancer. What gave me hope, though, was Cole. Cole's certainty in the outcome, his resilience and his positive attitude. After his first week of heavy chemo, I remember Cole getting on his bike training to get some fitness in. His oncologist said to Cole, he was his first patient that he had to ask, could you please slow down? The staff at the IWK hospital in Halifax also gave us hope. They were incredible day in and day out. We are so fortunate to live so close to one of the greatest hospitals in the country. Cole's chemo went into his grade 11 high school year and was followed with radiation. He was officially in remission by November, only 5 short months after his initial diagnosis. My emotional response to Cole's remission surprised me, though. After spending untold hours in the hospital, at doctor's appointments and doing tests, it was finally behind us. Cole got to ring the bell. I should have felt overwhelming relief, and that's what my friends and my family expected. Instead, I spent the next 8 months feeling dread and panic. As a mother, I guess the answer to the question, what was the hardest part as a mom? For me, it was that all-consuming fear that the cancer would come back. And as a mom, I was the first one to know in my heart that the cancer had returned. In June 2018, exactly 1 year to the day from his initial diagnosis, Cole was diagnosed with a relapse. Treatment for his relapse involved another 4 months of chemo, followed by a stem cell transplant, 3 months of isolation, and radiation. Cole did half of his grade 12 high school year from the hospital and at home. He was given the option to take the year off school, but to him, that was not an option. Since he couldn't be in the classroom for 3 months, he brought the classroom home. He set up and piloted a virtual classroom, used a Chromebook to stream his classes online, and had his classmates carry him class to class. While in isolation at the hospitals, his doctors respected when he was in class and made their rounds accordingly. He refused to let cancer slow him down and was determined to graduate with his peers. Cole graduated among the top of his class and spoke as salutatorian for his grade 12 IB group. During all of this, Cole didn't just excel at school. He became passionate about fundraising in support of the LLSC. The fundraising and volunteer work helped him to earn a Terry Fox Humanitarian Award, a university scholarship for his perseverance in sports, academics, and humanitarian initiatives in the face of adversity. I laughed when Cole was writing a scholarship application. He was stumped by the question, what similarities do you have to Terry Fox? And he couldn't think of any. I said, let's think about this, sweetie. You are both young men diagnosed with cancer. You continued in your sports, and you both have a commitment and passion to fundraising for cancer research. He was very humble at the time. So yes, Cole definitely gave our family hope. Fundraising in the face of adversity was an understatement. Cole raised over $70,000 in a little over 2 years while getting treatment and completing high school. His desire to fundraise and become a spokesperson for Light the Night during his 2 years of treatment gave more meaning to our journey. He shared his story, which is definitely outside of Cole's comfort zone, and involved his family, friends, and teammates in his fundraising initiatives. When he kicked off his first year of fundraising, and I think that was in the fall after his diagnosis, he was overwhelmed with the outpouring of support he received by sharing his story. Sitting around the dinner table, brainstorming contacts and ideas, and watching the success of the fundraising was really exciting. We didn't know how much impact we could make as a family. Cancer opened an entirely new humanitarian part of our family's life, and it was incredibly rewarding. Last year, Cole passed the fundraising bug over to his younger brother, Callum, who went door to door getting sponsors for his Light the Night team. Although a bit nervous to knock on his first door, he overcame his fear of rejection and became passionate about raising as much money as he could. He also received a humanitarian award from his swim team for being the team's highest fundraiser. Fundraising really has given our family something positive to focus on and helped us to realize that we have the power to be part of the solution to blood cancer and that we actually can make a difference. Cole now has been in remission for almost 2 years, and I no longer feel the panic I did a few years ago. I feel confident that we are at the end of our journey with cancer, but we still have an important role to play in the blood cancer community. Just last week, I spoke to a mom and her 20-year-old daughter who had just been diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. So she was just starting her journey. I shared some of Cole's story and had the ability to truly empathize with what they were going through and let them know that they were not alone. It may not be a community I would have asked to become a part of, but membership does have its benefits. The challenges that we have faced, what we have all faced, allows us to look at life struggles a little bit differently. As for fundraising, I know there's so much more work to do, and I just can't walk away because our story has a happy ending. The money raised through the LLSE helped make Cole's treatment options possible. The research done has given me the greatest gift a mom could ever have, my son. And it takes someone with a story to motivate people to give, because we have a credible voice and an intimate knowledge. It was sharing Cole's story that helped his friends, teammates, and work associates and family really understand blood cancer. We are members of the blood cancer community. We are life members of the blood cancer community. The decision for each one of us to keep going will have a macro effect, sharing our stories, helping those who are just starting their journey, and ultimately making treatments better is a gift we can give back. We have always taught our kids that if there's an opportunity to make a difference, you should go for it. Pandemic or no pandemic, I know we can continue to make a difference and have fundraising success, even if we have to do, in the infamous words of our Nova Scotia Premier, stay the blazes home to do it. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to my journey as a mom, and good luck with all of your journeys and your fundraising.
Thank you so much, Madeline. That was great. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And now you're going to hear from Madeline's son, Cole. So Cole Myers is a 19-year-old engineering student with a passion for triathlon, swimming, and airplane skiing. In 2017, while Cole was in high school, he was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. Even though Cole endured months of chemo, radiation, and a stem cell transplant, he was determined to stay in school, like Madeline said, participating virtually in order to graduate with his friends. Cole's drive is now in giving back. He has leveraged his talents and rallied his network to raise over $73,000 for the blood cancer community. I am so happy to introduce to you Cole Myers.
Hey everyone. I know it's already been said, but thank you all again for joining us. As you already know, my name is Cole Myers. I'm 19 years old, a mechanical engineer student at the University of Waterloo, and currently on my first co-op term back in Nova Scotia. You've already heard the basis of my story from my family's point of view, which definitely differs a bit from my point of view, but I'll still give a brief overview. After my diagnosis 3 years ago, I had a relatively short 3 months of chemo and 2 weeks of radiation. A year later, in response to my relapse, I had another 3 months of chemo, a month of radiation, and a stem cell transplant, which put me in isolation for 3 months. My treatment went pretty good, all things considered, but I'm not here today to talk about that. Instead, I'm going to speak about how my experiences revealed to me a potential for fundraising that I was completely unaware of. And more importantly, I'm going to talk about what I've learned from these experiences that may help others to realize their full potential as well. I'll talk about the power of making personal connections, the unexpected influence of reaching your entire support network, and the significance of proper organization and planning. So let's get started. Growing up, there were 3 core aspects of my life: family, education, and athletics. Like most youth, I had no significant exposure to the world of fundraising. Even a few months after my diagnosis in the summer of 2017, I was completely unaware of the work being done by so many volunteers every day. It wasn't until my swim coach actually introduced me to the Light the Night walk that the idea of fundraising had ever crossed my mind. I was excited to create a team for the event, but was extremely hesitant to take on the role of team captain because I really didn't want to share my stories with others or be the quote unquote poster boy for blood cancer fundraising. A few weeks before the walk though, I decided to take on this role and write a simple letter. In this letter, I briefly outlined my situation, and then described how funds raised help people in much worse situations than myself. I then compiled an email list of all my friends, family friends, and sports teams, my parents' work associates, anyone we could think of, and sent it out, asking if people would like to join me in October for the Light the Night walk or support the event with a donation. And the response was baffling. In just under 2 weeks, my letter brought in over $13,000, earning my team a tent at the Light the Night walk. I had spent maybe 2 nights total on the front end, but this very little effort had produced quite a substantial result. The first takeaway here is to realize just how powerful it is to make a donation request personal. I, for one, was extremely apprehensive to share my story. I didn't want the pity, I didn't want people to feel bad for me, and I very much didn't want to be known for having cancer, because cancer was not what defined me. That was a big barrier for me, sharing my story. And the letter I sent out was very different from what my mother may have shared. It was positive, optimistic, and may have underplayed my situation a little bit, but it got the point across. It made that personal connection, and that made a difference. It makes a really big difference when people connect themselves to the effects of blood cancer in a community. When they can see themselves in the role of a friend, a sibling, a parent, they become much more empathetic and eager to help. And sure, going through treatment helps, that is a definite, but sharing any story makes an impact. The people here on this call are connected to the blood cancer community in many different ways. But whether you're a friend, a family member, a survivor, or a current patient, you all have an untapped potential for good that I am certain will surprise you. I had many family friends forward my letter on to people that I didn't even know who ended up donating. So these are people that had no direct connection to me at all, but through reading my story, could put themselves in those shoes and felt empathetic and eager to help. And this leads really well into my second key takeaway, which is to utilize your entire support network. I had donations coming in from junior high teachers, friends and fellow athletes' parents, people I hadn't talked to in years, and even people whose names me and my parents didn't know. My social network extended far, far beyond what I had realized. In 2017, during treatment for my relapse, I decided to continue fundraising, but was hesitant to simply ask for financial support from the same network as the year before. I teamed up with a close friend of mine, and we created Bid to Beat Blood Cancer, which is an online auction to raise money for the LLSC. You can see the logo for this on the screen and the results of the first auction as well. To do this campaign, I had to increase my focus on networking, as I needed to collect item donations and get people on the site once it went live. So reaching as large a group of people as possible was really important to my success this year. To start, my family and I brainstormed a list of business owners that we know, local businesses that might donate, and potential larger businesses. We then brainstormed who to share the event with and how. We split this up into a variety of categories: family, friends, teams, or clubs that we are a part of. For example, we'd systematically go through all of the friends we can name in a certain social group. Let's say the Ski Wentworth community, for example, which we're a big part of, add their emails to a list, and then move on. As for teams and clubs, we reached out to the board of my swim and ski teams and asked if they could forward a letter on to the entire club, which they were both more than happy to do. This was a small effort that instantly meant reaching maybe 100 more people who I didn't know firsthand, but who had a direct connection to our family. And something that I'm sure many of you can do as well. Think of the teams and groups that you're a part of and ask yourself how they could help. And they'll want to, because of the personal connection that they have to you. They will want to help with your campaign. It can even be as simple as letting people know about the walk and inviting them to join your team. Another thing that helped a lot was encouraging people to share any communications I sent out with their family and friends, which many people did. I had a lot of people on the auction site who I didn't know, but were friends of family people that I have reached out to. And that brings another point. Another surprisingly receptive area were the complete strangers. The first time that I went door to door asking companies for product donations, I was somewhat nervous, to say the least. But I was immediately blown away by how friendly and receptive everyone was. Plenty of small businesses donated on the spot, and many more gave me contact information for managers who agreed to donate later. Asking strangers for donations isn't something that everyone will do. And for those of you who do, it's weird at first, but you quickly realize that the worst thing that could happen is for them to say no, and none of them are going to be mean about it. In my third year of fundraising, a lot of younger kids on my swim team went door to door collecting donations, and a few of them went above and beyond. One 10-year-old girl raised over $1,000 just asking for donations door to door, as did my younger brother and my cousins. This shows that at the end of the day, just asking can do wonders. Another big takeaway from my fundraising experiences is the importance of planning. The first big hurdle with any fundraising is deciding what to do. And a really important point here, which I can't stress enough, is to do something that you would want to be involved in and that you will enjoy putting together. At the end of the day, whether it be in school, extracurriculars, or career, We're all the most productive when we enjoy what we're doing. The same idea or concept will not work for everyone. For example, I put a lot of time into learning web design for my auction, which I actually really enjoyed. And this isn't something that a lot of people would like doing. It wouldn't be for everyone, but it was for me. So think about the things that you love doing and see if you can form a fundraising idea from one of those things. And it can be hard to come up with fundraising ideas. I definitely get that. If you've got a great idea already, awesome. If not, emulate something that you've seen work. I actually got the idea of an online auction from my junior high school, which hosted one every year to raise funding for the school. Brainstorm, bounce ideas off of friends and family, search for fundraising ideas online. There are plenty of ways to come up with great ideas. But again, whatever you choose, and I cannot stress this enough, make sure that is something that you will enjoy doing. And once you've got that idea, write it out. Create a working document where you write down any thoughts, ideas, and plans for your fundraising. Identify the key tasks that you need to do and set deadlines for yourself. We all live busy lives, that's for sure. And it's easy for our fundraising goals to slip into the background. Setting deadlines will keep you motivated to stay on track with what you want to accomplish. And it's all rough planning, of course. There were plenty of things that I ended up doing weeks after I had planned, and that's okay. But making a concrete plan from the get-go undoubtedly helped me stay on track, and I know that it'll help everyone else stay on track as well. And remember the point I made earlier about assessing your entire network. Don't be afraid to ask for help and allocate tasks to willing friends and family. There's absolutely no way that I could have done my fundraising alone. There are many people who are integral to my success, and they were all happy to help. Put some time into thinking about who can help you and how. In my case, there were a lot of family friends who could donate auction items to be sold. We reached out to contacts in the media to spread word about the auction, and my mom, who's an accountant, put in countless hours collecting donations and managing the finances. I guarantee that you too have people who would be happy to help, so don't be afraid to ask. Okay, so you've established your network, developed an idea, and created a plan. Now what? It's time to execute. Follow your plan and have fun. And if you put in a lot of time and effort thus far, you will be surprised by how much support you receive. And don't be afraid to shoot big. One of the really out there ideas I had during my second year of fundraising was to get somebody to match everything that I raised through the auction. One of the people that I approached for this request is a local business owner and philanthropist. And I'll be honest, I was extremely nervous sitting down for coffee with this guy. And I missed the shot. We talked about the auction and how he could support it with a product donation, but I completely missed the shot to ask for him to match it. He told me to email him with any questions and details on how he could help. And it was there later that I asked if he'd be interested in matching the auction, and he accepted. I got lucky that I had a second opportunity there, but things don't always work out so nicely. So I learned a lot from that encounter. I learned that you can miss out immensely by not taking the shot, so you might as well shoot big. And not everyone is going to be out asking philanthropists for large donations. Obviously, we don't expect that, but the same idea applies to all of you. When you're making an ask, be it from a family member, friend, or local business, have confidence in what you're asking and don't be afraid to shoot big. And finally, once your fundraising is complete, however much you raise this year, celebrate it because you earned it. So to recap, I've learned a tremendous amount about fundraising over the past 3 years. And the things that I feel are most important for you to take away are the following. First, share a story. Make those personal connections is extremely impactful. Second, utilize your entire support network. You'll find support from areas that you didn't even realize were there. And third, get organized. Make a plan, set deadlines, and then execute it. And finally, have fun. I know it's a cliche, but it really does make a difference. You'll be much, much more productive if you're excited about what you're doing. And with that, I wish you all the best of luck with your fundraising. I know that you all have an untapped potential that will surprise you like it did me. And I cannot wait to see the results of you all realizing that potential at Light the Night this year. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Cole. Wow, you shared so many ideas with us, so that was great. All right, now we're going to move on to our second poll. Who do you typically reach out to for support? So either for donations or to join an event you might be hosting locally. You should see the poll pop up on your screen, and we'll give everyone about 30 seconds to fill it out. All right. Let's close the poll and we'll share the results. Okay, so for the majority of you, it looks like it's friends and family followed by colleagues and classmates. So that's great. Yeah, so typically we just try to, we think of our close friends and family, but we can also think of friends of our friends and friends of our family. And like Cole said, if you don't ask, it's always going to be a no. So local businesses, that is something that I wouldn't necessarily think about right away. Sports clubs, really your network is endless if you really do some planning. So that's great. Just give me one sec. Okay, so now on to our third speaker today, Tammy Garrett. So Tammy spent years raising awareness and funds for the blood cancer community through her affiliation with the beer store's Returns for Leukemia bottle drive campaign. She had no idea that one day she would be impacted by blood cancers personally. In 2014, Tammy was diagnosed with chronic lymphocytic leukemia. Currently in her third line of treatment, Tammy doesn't wait for hope, she creates it. Since 2016, she's ambitiously mobilized her community to raise over $100,000 for the blood cancer community. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce to you today, Tammy Garrett.
Thank you, Ashley. Excuse me. Thank you, Madeline and Cole, for everything that you're doing for the blood cancer community. It is an honor to be on this webinar with you both today. Cole, you're a true inspiration. Excuse me. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. I'm excited to be here with you today to talk about my connection with blood cancer and how fundraising for the LLSC, specifically for the Light the Night Walk, has become something I am truly passionate about. First, I will be sharing a few highlights of my journey thus far. I say highlights because there are far too many things I could talk about and we would be here all day. How I first got involved with the Light the Night Walk, how my fundraising has evolved over the last few years. I'm going to share some of the ideas that work for our team and hopefully inspire you to get started. Now, I was diagnosed with CLL, which is chronic lymphocytic leukemia, on June 4th, 2014. I imagine, like everyone else who has been diagnosed with cancer, my life turned on a dime. I still remember the exact time, spot, what I was wearing, and how beautiful it was that day. I received my diagnosis over the phone while I was at work. One of my coworkers called my husband for me because I was in shock. He came to pick me up and we went to my doctor's office immediately. Now, I remember 4 specific things my doctor said to us, and the rest were just words. First, he said, "You have CLL." He told us what the letter stood for, but only leukemia stood out. He said, "You have the good kind of leukemia and may not need treatment for years, if at all." I remember thinking, who knew there was any kind of good cancer? He said it was more common for men in their 70s, so I was 44, female, so nothing was sinking in or making sense. Then he hit me with, "But you should get your affairs in order," before he walked out of his office, which totally contradicted everything he had just said. So a few weeks later, I met with a specialist and was put on what was called watch and wait. I had to go for blood work and checkup with my specialist every 3 months. At first, and then as my disease and symptoms progressed, I started going every month until finally I was told I needed to start treatment right away. My first line of treatment started 16 months later with 6 rounds of chemotherapy. A couple of weeks before my 6th round of chemo, I was able to get a second opinion as it did not seem like my treatment was working at all. I was able to get more extensive testing done to see why I was not going into remission. Unfortunately, I only received those results after the last round of chemo and spending 10 days in the hospital very sick from that treatment. The test concluded that I had an abnormal chromosome called 17p deletion, and that is why the chemo did not work. A few months later, I was able to enroll in a clinical trial because of my abnormality, which helped manage my disease up until a year ago when I started to slowly resist my medication. I was watched carefully for several months and was about to start a new clinical trial when the world was hit with a pandemic. Thankfully, there are other options available, and I was able to start on a new medication to help me manage until the clinical trial option is available once travel restrictions are lifted. My doctors and I are hopeful that once I'm able to start the new trial, I will go into remission for the first time, or better yet, be cured. A little while after I started the clinical trial, I decided that I wanted to be able to give back by raising awareness and fundraising for the LLSC in hopes that other patients diagnosed with blood cancer would know that they are there for support and not have the same experience I had at the very beginning of my journey. Now, the only fundraising I had ever done prior to putting in a team for our first Light the Night walk was hockey and school for my boys. I had set a modest goal of $2,000 and was very nervous that I had set that too high. Now, my best friend and I would chat every day and come up with little challenges for everyone who had signed up. We would give them suggestions as to who they could send their Light the Night walk link to via social media or email. We suggested that they reach out to not only friends and family, but to everyone they do business with or see on a daily basis. Your lawyer, your barista, dentist, teachers, coaches. When they received a donation, their name went into a draw for a chance to win a small prize like Tim Hortons or Starbucks gift cards. Keeping our team engaged, we were able to raise $11,000 the first year, thanks to their generosity and the generosity of their friends and family. Now, I have had the most incredible group of friends and family support me from the beginning, and always love when we have new members join Team Tammy. I am eternally grateful for each and every one of them. Now, during that time, I kept thinking I would love to come up with some ideas to fundraise for the following year and become more involved with the LLSC. I started brainstorming with a couple of friends and started reading up on some fundraising ideas. Now, without even asking, I had a coworker who was an amazing cook and had made her daughter a cookbook for Christmas. She decided she would print off a limited edition of her prized recipes and donate all the proceeds to our team. I was incredibly touched. She raised and donated a little over $300. This is when I realized that every little bit was going to help. You can change this slide, Ashley. Perfect. So one of my son's best friends plays in the NHL, and he donated a jersey signed by his team, and we raffled it off. He was able to come and do the raffle with us at home. We taped it, we posted it online, and everyone loved it. We raised over $1,200 in less than a week. Around the same time, another one of my son's friends had long, beautiful hair, which he loved and said he would never cut it as it had taken him years to grow. One day I said to him, how about we do a fundraiser, raise money for our team, and you can donate your hair to the Cancer Society. Now, without hesitation, he said yes. We started an online fundraiser, sent it out on our social media, and we raised another $1,200. People could not believe he was going to cut his hair, so they were more than willing to donate to the cause. Now, I had seen one of my best friends growing up do a couple of what they called survivor draws online. They had raised several $1,000s, which piqued my interest. I asked her how it worked and thought I would give it a try. Now, fast forward 3 years, and we are currently doing our 11th survivor draw. It is by far our team's most successful fundraiser, and by request, we have ended up playing it several times a year. Now, I will explain what the survivor draw is. So first, I create an event online. It's on Facebook. I invite all of my contacts and have it set that anyone invited can invite their friends or their contacts. Now, everyone who wants to play pays a fee, which can easily be done, especially during this time, via e-transfer. Participants have a chance to pay to have their name in the draw 3 times. Half of the money goes towards our donation and the other half goes towards the prize pool. It is a reverse draw, so the last 3 to 4 people who have not been picked share the prize pool, which has been significant as we usually average 100 people. The number of draws depends on how many people are playing. The event takes place virtually on Facebook and can take up to a few weeks to play. Now, the wonderful thing about these draws is that anyone can participate from the comfort of their home anywhere in the world. Now, all of our family is on the East Coast, and they love being able to participate and support no matter how far they are, especially when they're not able to be here physically for the walk. Now, I try and do a draw every day and post around the same time every night so that participants know when to go and find out if their name has been drawn. Now, I have had family, friends, my doctor, nurses, my favorite barista, co-workers, children of some of the participants, NHL player, Spartacat, the mascot for the Ottawa Senators. Last week, we had a flight crew during flight pull the names for us, and we even had Santa to help us make it more fun. I want to ensure everyone feels included and can help with the draw, even though they can't do it in person if they're from far away. Over the last few months, I have done more draws over Zoom and FaceTime. During one of our Zoom meetings, we even had a DJ playing a couple months ago. I get excited when I come up with fresh ideas so that it is not always the same. Depending on where and who is helping with the draw, we can take videos, record Zoom meetings, and always take pictures to post online of who got picked that particular day. I truly love doing it and always try to make it fun and interactive. Now, even though a majority of the draws will be done online, I wanted to come up with a fun, safe, socially distanced way for me to be able to go out and see a few people in person. So I decided, as you'll see in one of those pictures, to get my little cooler, which holds all of the ballots, can be easily disinfected. I have my wipe sanitizer, and of course I wear my mask. Yeah, so as you can see in the picture, the tagline that I'm using right now is, be on the lookout for me walking up your driveway. You are the next runner-up. Now, my family thinks that some of my ideas are silly. However, it always works out. I enjoy going that little extra step to make things more fun and memorable, which keeps everyone engaged in the event. Now, I have definitely surprised and impressed them a few times, especially with the flight last week. Fundraising has helped me see the impact that it is making in people's lives. I feel like if I was sitting back and not doing anything, I would feel lost and lonely and would have never realized the impact that we can make by simply asking for help. This pandemic has caused us all to pivot and has certainly made it harder this year, as everyone is trying to come up with fun virtual ideas or change something that previously worked for them. Now, there are a lot of possibilities online with people who are running small businesses from home. I just did a fundraiser with a friend who sells Pampered Chef, and it was very successful. There are so many possibilities to be able to do fundraisers with businesses like Pampered Chef, Epicure, 31, just to name a few, because all you're doing is asking people to shop for products that they probably already love or that they will love. This not only allows you to raise money for your team, but helps support someone's small business as well, especially during these times, especially if they're not able to work their regular jobs. Now, this year would have been our 3rd annual Tee Up for Tammy golf tournament, which would have been, Ashley, can you change the slide? Now, again, so this would have been our 3rd year for the golf tournament. We had been planning it for months before COVID decided to turn our world upside down, so we had to put it on hold. Now we're very disappointed that we had to postpone it until next year, but we're looking forward to next year as it will be bigger and better. And you can change the slide again. Now, if someone would have ever told me, even just a couple of years ago, that I would have stood on stage at one of the walks and spoke about my journey, that Team Tammy would be raising over $100,000, and that I would be sitting here talking to all of you about fundraising, I would have said, there's no way. I am a shy person. I get very nervous public speaking. However, I've made it my mission to do whatever I can to help patients as they navigate their journey and find a cure. My hope today is that I have inspired you to get started on your fundraising journey, no matter how big or how small. I realize that in order to help make a difference, I can't do it alone. Therefore, I am no longer afraid to ask for help. Never be afraid to ask for help or support. The worst people can say is no. The no's hurt at first. Never take no's personally. It just makes the yeses that much better. Ask anyone and everyone you can think of for their support. Have your friends and family do the same. Social media is your friend. Trust me, you'll be pleasantly surprised and maybe even cry a few times like I have as to who has said yes. Now, there are a lot of charities out there looking for help. Acknowledge that. Saying thank you for your support goes a long way. Be genuine, passionate, and stay positive. Now, as I was getting ready to go to bed a couple of nights ago, thinking about what I was going to say during this webinar, something I wrote came up on my Facebook memories from last year. I had been out asking for donations and sponsorship for our golf tournament for a couple of weeks, and this particular day I had received nothing but positive feedback and responses. Everything just felt like it was coming together. It said, I am learning more and more how to step out of my comfort zone, put it out in the universe, and just ask. Then I posted a picture that said, you get in life what you have the courage to ask for. And I find that to be true more and more each day. Now I would like to wish you all good luck with your fundraising. Remember, no idea is too small. Every little bit counts. Take care and have fun.
Thank you so much, Tammy. That was great. Awesome speakers we have with us today. Thank you all. Okay, so we have one more final poll, and you'll see it up on your screen in just a second. So how do you typically make an ask for support? Just give us a sec. Here we go. So do you share your fundraising link through mass emails, social media? Do you do personalized emails, phone calls, maybe connect people one-on-one, whether that's in person or now more over social media? Or do you do a combination of both? Just give everyone a minute. All right, let's see the results. A combination of both. That's awesome. Like we heard from the fundraisers today, it really takes doing a variety of diverse things in order to find that success. So whenever we can be personal and share our stories, great. And then, you know, doing the mass emails and social media in the background. So amazing. Thank you for filling out our third poll of today. So it is now time for our questions. Can all the speakers please turn on their webcams? And remember, you can submit your question using the question function. Welcome back, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, so our first question is for Madeline. So this question's from Sarah. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective as a mother. What has been the biggest lesson you've taken away from this experience? Oh, Madeline, did you hear me? There might just be some technical issues. Hey, Madeline and Cole, can you hear me? Okay, well, we figured that out. We do have a question also from Dave for Tammy. So it sounds like you've had an amazing team of supporters. What would you say has been the key of keeping your friends and family engaged all this time?
Right, so that is a great question, and one that I actually often ask myself in order to keep the team engaged. I work hard at trying to make our events fun and memorable and something that they can look forward to. Setting goals has also been a factor in our fundraising efforts. It helps keeps everyone really motivated.
Great, thanks, Tammy. Okay, so Madeline and Cole, do we have you?
Yeah, I think so now. Sorry about that.
No worries, it happens. This is the world we live in right now. So Madeline, you had a question come in from Sarah, a question and a comment. So thank you so much for sharing your perspective as a mother. What has been the biggest lesson you've taken away from this experience?
Actually, I think probably my biggest takeaway is that no matter what life throws at us, we have the power to make it the best path possible. After Cole was diagnosed and we dealt with the trauma of the cancer diagnosis, I started to read a book called The Obstacle is the Way, and it really helped me to accept that life will throw curveballs at us. But looking for the gift in these obstacles is really important. Having to deal with blood cancer was part of our path, and because of this, I view life's challenges a bit differently now. I have new friends, the ability to empathize with others in a similar situation, new experiences through fundraising that I never would have had without this journey. So whatever part of your journey you're on, look at the gift and the light along the way.
Great, thanks, Madeline. And we just have another comment here. So this person said, no questions, just a big thank you. Thank you for sharing some great ideas. I've gotten some great ideas from this. Thank you for Madeline and Cole for sharing their different perspectives. As a mom to an AML survivor, I agree so much with this difference. Thank you so much. I can't see the name of who shared that, but thank you. Okay, and Cole, we have a question for you from Lucy, question and comment. So, wow, you have done so much in the fundraising space. Can you tell me about a time that you've tried something and it didn't work out the way that you wanted it to?
Well, there are definitely plenty of those. This year, actually, I wanted to do a fundraising challenge with a bunch of sports teams. I wanted to get a bunch of swim teams and potentially other teams together and have them compete to see who could fundraise the most. But COVID kind of threw a wrench into that plan, so I had to completely put that on the back burner, save that for a future year. Now I'm reaching out to current cancer patients at the IWK and other hospitals and trying to mentor them through doing what I did in my first year of fundraising while I was in treatment. So had to completely ditch an idea, and that's not the first time I've had to completely turn things around. But you'll definitely have bumps in the road in whatever you're doing. So all you can do is readjust and move forward, right?
Great. And this question can be for any of our speakers. It's from Tyler. I have a goal to raise $5,000. Where do I start? So I don't know who to take that. Yeah, you guys, you've done some really big fundraising. If somebody is new to this, and some of you, all of you really touched on it. You all had, you were all newbies at once as well. So where do you start? Where do you put your focus?
Mind if I take this?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Start and answer after. Yeah. Honestly, first, realize or try to recognize who your network is. So all the different channels of your life, like Tammy was saying, could be your barista, your dentist, more than just your friends and family. And ask people to join your team. Let them know what the walk is, what you're doing, and ask them to be a part of it, or ask them if they want to be a part of it. And then if not, if they want to support it with a donation. Just with that, you'll get a lot of people joined. And then once you have a team, you can talk with everyone, bounce ideas back and forth about what you're going to do for more fundraising. My first year was just that. It was just letting people know what I was going through, sharing my story. And it could be sharing your brother's story, your friend's story, your son, your dad's, a story, and let them know what you want them to get involved in. And that alone will do a lot. And then you can decide to do further fundraising past there.
I agree.
Cool. Tammy, do you have anything to add?
No, I agree. Just reach out to everybody you know and just start asking. Use social media, and then that's where it starts.
I love it. Okay, so the lovely person that had that comment earlier, her name was Linda. So sorry, Linda. I didn't see your name, but now I know who you are. So thank you so much. We have another question around licenses, and I will just take this on if you don't mind, guys. So the question was, do you need a lottery license for any of your activities and events? And I just want to say that licensing regulations can vary from province to province. So we really encourage you to connect with your local LSC staff person to ask about what is needed. They're really the experts in this. So if you go on to lightthenight.ca, right on the homepage is all of our contact info. And you can reach out to any of our staff and they will help you with any kind of questions you have on licensing, on fundraising in general, on creating a plan. We have lots of resources we can share to help as well. So please don't hesitate to reach out. We are here for you. All right, let me just check if there's any more questions. All right, here we I think it's a comment. Okay, so wow, thank you everyone for your words of wisdom. I'm so inspired. This is a question for anyone. I'm a college student in the US and I'm heavily involved with LLS. I was wondering how we could strengthen international bonds and ties to further fundraise and spread the message of LLS and LLSC's mission. Oh, wow. So welcome. That's so great that we're just not only getting Canadians, but we're getting, people down in the US as well. We work really closely with our US colleagues behind the scenes, and we're always really leveraging each other. But that's a fabulous question. I'm not sure if our speakers will be able to really comment on that. I would just say we are working together. We do very much collaborate on all of our campaigns. We try not to duplicate efforts. And yeah, behind the scenes, we're really involved with our LSC colleagues down in the US. So thank you for attending this webcast. It's so great that we're getting people from different countries.
Ashley,
Yes.
I mean, speaking to that question, one opportunity would be to share fundraising ideas. You know, if Cole had a little piece on here's some things I did, so people in Canada and the US can go and say, oh, actually that idea would work really well for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's very much the same, right? All over North America, these ideas can be used and these events can be created. And no, that's great. Okay, so that is really all the questions that we have. I really want to thank everyone for asking questions and for being here with us today. You know, you heard a lot, or a big thank you to our speakers, of course, Madeline, Cole, and Tammy, for sharing your personal stories and your expertise with us all. I think we were all blown away, so thank you. All the creativity and good things you have going on, I'm sure we can all take from that to, you know, improve our own fundraisers and try to reach our own fundraising goals. So you guys have heard a lot about Light the Night today. Light the Night is the only event that brings together the entire blood cancer community to bring light to the darkness of cancer. If you've not yet registered, please do so at lightthenight.ca. If you or somebody you know is struggling during these times, we are here to help. You can reach us toll free at 1-833-222-4884. You are not alone in this. We have resources and people available to help you. So along with the recording to this webcast, a short survey will be also sent. We would greatly appreciate you taking a moment to fill it out, as it will help us to offer you the most valuable information in the near future. And I just want to really thank everyone for being with us today. It was an absolute pleasure being here with all of you. Thank you to our speakers, and have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Have a good day.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.